Okay, so I love bad movies. There's something beautiful about seeing a movie so broken that you just can't look away. I love the uncanny things and stuff that's clearly someone's first project. I love that kind of stuff. And I have such a hard time writing this script because this is not one of those movies. This movie is painfully unremarkable. It's not something I had a lot of fun watching because it's bad. It's something I was bored watching because it was bad. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but it was pretty hard to sit through. And it seems like I'm not the only one to think this, because this movie only made a little bit over half of what its budget was. Ugh. I mean, I get why one would make a sequel to Hoodwinked. The first one made over $100 million, but this ain't it. So let's get into why that might be the case. So it's set up like it's trying to be a parody of a spy thriller. I mean, just look at this. It wants to be a spy thriller so badly, but it turns out to be a parody of just a buddy cop movie. Actually, no. It's not even a parody of a buddy cop movie. It just is one.
Me and her?
Are you
Whoa,
kidding?
Hop back here a second, Flippers. You mean the both of us?
Granny
together.
never needed a partner.
So in the movie, they pit Wolf and Red against each other. And Red is the hard-ass, punch first, ask questions later, stick in the mud. And Wolf is a loose cannon goofball who keeps wanting to use disguises, and he's pretty easily distracted. I'll get more into the characters later, but let me just say I'm not really too happy about it. So the movie starts with Wolf and Granny on a mission, and Wolf's antics cause her to be kidnapped along with two children, Hansel and Gretel, who they were trying to save. Turns out Red was away training with the Sisters of the Hood, and she's not too happy with Wolf about how he caused her Granny to be kidnapped. They argue for a bit and then head out on the mission to rescue her. So the whole MacGuffin for this movie is some all-powerful truffle that only a true sister can know the final ingredient of. Granny was kidnapped in order to force her to make that truffle. So on the Granny side of the story, we find out that Hansel and Gretel are actually the masterminds. Was anyone really all that surprised? Sure, it's a twist, but it's kind of like a pretzel cart. It's a twist, but you can see it a mile away. It's literally advertised on the side of the cart. So the witch, Verushka, turns out to be an old sister of Granny Puckett, and she's the whole trip of the bitter child who was always in second place. It's not done poorly, but it's just been done a million times. Give me something new to look at. And when we look on the Red and Wolf side of the story, they just do an annoying amount of arguing. So they go to question one of Granny's informants, and the informant is linked to one of the suspects, the Giant.
He's a reputed smuggler, a juggler, a robber, a cobbler, a picker, a grinner, a restaurateur, and blogs about animated films.
He should get a life.
Indeed.
Haha, funny. Red, being a dumbass, wants to walk right up in the middle of a show and question him. It doesn't make a lot of sense. And Wolf wants to relax at the party. Obviously they get caught by the Giant and they get chased out of the club. And that's when they find out this is all connected to Boingo, who only really serves to make a Hannibal Lecter reference.
Hello, Clarice.
And that's literally it. He's only in the movie for like 5 minutes. So Red and Wolf fight yet again. Wolf gets all pouty and leaves, and it's so weird. Like, the split up argument usually happens towards the end of this movie, but we're barely half an hour in. It just seems a little weird for it to be happening this early on. I kind of want the movie to hurry up after that. Ugh, I'm only a third through this movie. Let's speed this up. Let's see, we have a montage. Red gets captured, Wolf gets captured. Oh yeah, they meet up with Kirk at some point. Red, being a true sister and all, she figures out the last ingredient and...
Macadamia nuts.
Now we know!
Okay, let me talk about this for a second. So when Red is coming to their hideout, they're all like, ooh, maybe this is a good thing. So in the back of my head, you know, like a reasonable person, I'm thinking, oh, they're gonna try to capture her, they're gonna use her as bait, they're gonna use her as a bargaining chip to make Granny make it. No. They just put a bowl of stuff in the room, and they hope that she, 1, finds the room, 2, just eats from some random bowl of brown stuff, and 3, that she can figure out the final ingredient being a true sister. They know nothing about Red, not for real. This is idiotic. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Whatever. It's just kind of stupid. So, they get the truffles, they run wild, Red and Wolf make up, and then they go trick Hansel and Gretel into eating the rest of the truffles. Overall, the story's pretty middle of the road. It's not too bad, but in a year from now, I won't be able to recall very much of this at all. 4 out of 10. The characters are some of the weakest part of this movie. Even though we spend more time with them, they're surprisingly more two-dimensional than in the first movie. Now, let me explain that. So, they weren't all that deep in the first movie. Not at all. But now the characters can be distilled into maybe 1 or 2 traits. Like in the first movie, you only got to know a little bit of them, but it still felt like they were characters outside of the movie. But in this movie, they're so exaggerated with their 1 or 2 character traits that's all that they are. That's all that I can feel that they are. You don't have to really show us every aspect of a character's personality, but you can't just show us an extreme version of 1 trait. That's all we'll see. Also, Wolf and Red are constantly fighting, and I hate it. Something I just cannot stand are characters that just are constantly at odds with each other. I mean, I can tolerate it for like a 22-minute episode, or something short and digestible like that. But for an hour and a half? No. Let's see, when it comes to new characters, they're okay, I guess. There are a couple of annoying stereotypes present that just don't make sense.
So, you think you can deliver that basket of goodies across my bridge, do you?
Uh-huh.
Oh, no. You did not just say that. I did not hear that. There ain't no way my bridge would be crossed by some muffin-delivering, red hood-wearing, fair-tale cliche little girl. Get up out of here.
What is this? The villains are painfully one note. I mean, their one trait is being evil, and they don't let you forget it. Varushka is never even slightly seen as a threat. She just seems one warm smile away from turning to good, which, I mean, could be alright, but I'm less than happy with the characters overall. 2 out of 10. So for the technicals, I'm talking animations, shot composition, editing, voice acting, all of that stuff. It's alright. The animation is kind of poor. Romeo and Juliet, a movie I do not like. But I'm gonna say, it came out in the same year, it had a similar budget with $36 million, and I'd say this movie handled its animation so much better. There are a lot of points where the movie feels incredibly empty. Like, look at this cityscape. It's so barren. Like, if you can't populate a city well enough, you might not need to set the final arc of the movie inside of a big city. That might not be something you can handle. The voice acting is fine, but it's a little unenthusiastic. Especially with Patrick Warburton. And I know he can do enthusiasm, but just so many of the scenes feel like the same kind of deadpan emotion. Like dry wit, that's what he keeps kind of trying to throw out there. But it's kind of on the goofy side, but that's the same emotion he brings to the table every time, and I kind of want something different. I don't know, it kind of feels a little phoned in. So overall, the technicals are, 4 out of 10. So for the style, I'm talking character design, world design, tone, sort of just the artistic element coming out of this. And I don't really like it. So one thing that really stood out to me is that the art style and storytelling is too grounded for the level of slapstick they throw at you. Like, these characters are constantly getting thrown around like rag dolls. I mean, just look at this.
Hey, do you guys hear something?
Great news! My doctor says I'm gonna live!
All that does is make the stakes seem so much lower. So this is just flat out how much I enjoyed the movie. For some movies, it might be a 1 out of 10 across the board, but I might give it a 10 out of 10 when it comes to enjoyment. This is not the case here. I guess 3 out of 10. It's not that bad in terms of enjoyment, but I was just too frequently bored. I just looked at the time going, man, wish it would move along a little faster. I wish it was a little shorter. There's quite a bit that I think they could have cut out. So, overall, with all the scores combined and divided out, makes the movie a 3 out of 10. It didn't hurt so much to sit through, but I didn't really like it very much at all. It's so much not a good movie that I'm kind of naming it the second cartoon Calamity, with Beauty and the Beast Enchanted Christmas being the first. I might even make a little list ranking all the bad movies or shows I watch, and I think this list will only take the enjoyment category into consideration, just because I want to have it a little bit more fun, and I think it'll be all over the place otherwise, and I don't want some bad movie up at the top or bottom just because otherwise the quality is good. I don't want some boring movie listing top of my bad movie list, if that makes sense. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, there are 2 more on the screen for you right now. Also, if you enjoy my content in general, feel free to subscribe and like the video. And it's time to set sail for the next video.